Good morning, folks. We're going to get started. We're waiting for a couple of others. Susan, I didn't tell you. Where's Susan? Oh, no, Jim Margot, I know, emailed me last night and had some type of issue that he had to take care of this morning, so I gave him relief from the meeting. So we had a quorum. So, but I think we are expecting Michael.
Yes.
And what about Lou?
And Lou also said
Lou is expecting.
to be here, but
Who's the empty seat next to Len? Who's that?
That's Jim.
Oh, that's Jim, okay, so
Yeah.
we know Jim's
Yeah.
not coming.
Yeah.
All right. But let's just go around the room, we'll recognize a quorum, and then we'll get started with the agenda. So for the folks that don't know me, my name is Kevin Law.
Christopher Hahn. Frank Trotta.
Leonard Benedict.
Gary O'Carr.
Carol Gomes.
Ed Feldman.
Jen Scarullo.
Father Alex Carluzis.
Linda Arman.
Sam Stanley.
Okay, I'll recognize a quorum of the board and call the meeting to order. And Sam is always gracious, he always has his top team of officials here with us, and we'll go around the room. Starting with Dennis, as he puts the yogurt. I got that. Of course, you're busted. We'll start with Dennis.
Dennis Asanis.
Barb Paterno.
Dexter Bailey.
Matt Whalen.
Elaine Crossan.
Cole King, please.
David Conover.
Ruben Pasternak.
Susan Blum.
Mark McElitis.
Marissa Trachtenberg.
Susan Hines.
Our guest, and Sean.
Sean Hilbrun.
Jay Souza.
Peter Baker.
Maddie Orlick. Marjorie Leonard.
And we have some special guests with us as well who we'll announce in a few minutes. I'll remind everybody we are live streaming and webcasting. We have thousands and thousands of followers, but we are webcasted, and some people are indeed watching, so let's get the meeting going, and like we always do, we'll stand up and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I'll ask Frank Trotta to get us started.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First order of business is the approval of the minutes from our last meeting on October 6th, which is a great meeting over at the Southampton campus. Motion by Chris, seconded by Linda. Any comments, revisions, additions to the minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, minutes are approved. I have a very brief chairman's report, and I have some fun things to do in terms of some presentations. Just in terms of some business, Wednesday, I'll be up in Albany for the governor will be announcing the Regional Economic Development Council Awards, and we have our fingers crossed because if Long Island wins, that'll be good news for Stony Brook, because we've got a couple of neat projects in there for Stony Brook, and we'll report to you at the next meeting as to the results of that. You'll read about it, but in terms of the specifics, we'll let you know. So keep your fingers crossed, and you know, by Wednesday afternoon, we'll know whether or not we won, and if Stony Brook will be the beneficiary of those announcements. We have three special presentations to make. We have two former colleagues from our council who have stepped down, and they both did a tremendous service to this university, to our community. And I'll start with a dear friend, Mayor Marge Brant, who's just, she's really put her heart and soul into Stony Brook University, her and her family. And she did a great job serving on the council for 14 years?
I thought it was 8.
Not like 25.
So 12, 18, in between. So anyway, we want to thank Jean Garant for everything that she did for the university. And we have a special, two special presentations for her, an award and a medal. We'd like to have Jean come up and receive these, and also say a few words if she'd like to. First, Jean, here's a grateful appreciation for your dedicated service on the Stony Brook University Council from 2008 and 2014. Oh, it was 6 years. It just felt like 12. It was John who was 12. Yeah.
John has been 12. Thank you so much.
Do we have a camera here?
Yeah, I want to do it in front with the flag,
Okay.
if possible, yeah.
Oh, thank you,
Thank
John.
you.
Because I'm a
That
flag
one, too.
person.
Which flag do you want to fly?
I'm just gonna move over this way. Tilt that down.
Yes. Right, 1, 2, 3. And we also, Jean, we got 2 for the price of 1 today. We have a medal. Sam would like to put this on again. So it's new medal, right, Susan?
Yeah.
Stony Brook University Council.
I just want to thank you, Sam. Thank you. I mean, your leadership has been outstanding. I started this teamwork with, Shirley Storm Kenny, who made this a livable place and decorated it with trees and walkways, which was nothing but mud and really big stones when we moved here in '72. I just have never enjoyed anything as much as taking my trust in the university that I always believed in since my husband was hired to pioneer the dental school here, that really our community was not really willing to accept Stony Brook University in our backyard in Port Jefferson. And I would tell you, it was a difficult task to convince them that Stony Brook is here as not only an academic tool, a cultural event, bringing us arts in beautiful places, courses we'd never imagined taking as seniors. I would say this did it. Being on the council, hearing all of the beautiful programs, bringing them home to my community, and when I heard a nagging, I tell you, you had outstanding leaders on your team. I mean, Barbara Chernow, she's like my role model. Elaine Clausen. Dennis is great as the provost. I mean, I wish he had bought Port Jefferson now. I shot her home with him there. And Dexter is raising money like no man's land. You have Pasternak, Dr. Pasternak. I see they're hiding in back, the best attorney in town too. I know you, and she's defended the university. I tell you, new council people, you will fall in love with this project. But listen and be here and dedicate yourself to your task. Bring home the good news to your communities because they want to hear the other side of the story. And they will really respect you when you spread it well. I will miss you, Dr. Benedict. You started with me. and John, I mean, I made such great friends, but the best friends are standing beside me. Thank you for your leadership. Everything you've done to make this in your research way and bringing all that money into the campus. Oh, I tell you, I need to leave. But you'll see me at the basketball games, you'll see me at the football games. The minute I can go down the stairs very well, I bought season tickets, so I'm a big fan. You're the magic trick. I'm counting on you, okay? Bring it home, right? Thank you so much.
Did I tell you about Jean? Talk about a cheerleader for the university. So Jean, we will find another role for you somewhere. You're not going to
I hope
escape.
so. I do hope so.
You're not going to escape
Another
that
8 years
easy.
of my life is fine.
We have another great former councilman, John Corrado. John, 25 years ago or so, I graduated law school. He was just taking over the family business. If there is a business person on Long Island who puts his money where his mouth is and who gives back to the community like no other, it's John Corrado. He has been involved in so many great organizations, from the United Way to planning commissions to the Stony Brook Council for 2 full terms for 12 years. And he's not just a terrific friend, but he's been a terrific advocate and supporter of the university. We were lucky to have him for 12 years. He agreed to stay on. He wanted his business is really booming, and he stayed on until there was a replacement for him. So we're very lucky to have him. Let's bring up John Corrado. Actually, I screwed up again. Not 12 years, 14 years. It's a long time.
I would have corrected.
You would have. He's never been shy about that. So now we thank you as well. Thank you. Okay. And we also have a new medal for you from Stan, from the council. Sort of like when the wizard put the big medal.
Pull back the curtains.
Exactly. John said if you want to sit.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so I know it's 14 years because I gained the love of 2 children while I was here. And one of them is now in high school, a child that I didn't have when I first came onto this board. Lost the use of 2 knees in that 14 years too. Great time. Jeannie did a great job of summarizing it all, and Jeannie and I spoke together for many of those years, working under great leadership. Shirley was a tremendous leader, and under the guidance of Rick Nasty, who was a good personal friend of mine. And Shirley was retiring, and we were looking for a new president. My term's expiring, and Rick said, listen, I need you to stay on. He guided us through this process, and we found Sam, which was a tremendous find for the university, and Sam's done a great job at elevating the presence of this university. And Rick retires, and then I get a phone call from Kevin. He's like, hey, guess who's on the board? Would you stay and work with me for a couple of years? And, 2 years turned into 7, and it went very quickly. It's been a great experience for me. So my 16-year-old, who's someone I had when I joined the board, is looking at colleges now. And we've spent the last couple of months touring the country. He's not coming to Stony Brook because it snows up here. He wants to go someplace where there's going to be warm weather. I don't remember anyone asking me about weather when I was in high school. That is nice. I know what Ann Arbor weather's like. But I've been to a lot of different universities now. I haven't done that since I was in school down in D.C. and the Carolinas. And as I walk these campuses and I meet the people on the campuses, I think of Stony Brook. And we know this on paper because Kevin and Sam report almost monthly how well the university is doing statistically. But I can tell you this university stands toe-to-toe next to all the big schools, not only from an academic standpoint, from quality of life, facilities, reputation. It's really unbelievable. People know about Stony Brook when you leave Long Island. So it's really a testament to everything that's going on here in this room with all you folks, what Sam and Kevin are doing now. I want to thank the council members that I've served with over the years for their friendship. And I will too stay connected to the university, getting to games or getting to an event that Dexter's throwing, because it'll be with me forever. Thank you very much.
Should put us on our table. Top of the table. Good, John, you want your little box in?
Kevin, does it mean anything that neither clock is working, so time has stood still for both recipients?
That's right, for a couple of minutes.
Well, yeah, it'll be like John, he's always right at least twice a day. And we have one other special award before we get to the rest of the agenda, and that is to our women's lacrosse team and its coach, Joe Spallina. The women's team, women's lacrosse doesn't get all the press that certainly football gets and that the basketball teams get, and even women's basketball. But women's lacrosse is growing every year in popularity, and it's going to be teams like the Stony Brook lacrosse women's team that really helps put women's lacrosse on the map nationally, because they are an incredible team with an incredible coach. They had 17 wins last year. They made it to the NCAAs to the second round. They've done Stony Brook proud, just as the men's baseball team going to the World Series did. And their program is going to keep on getting better because we have a great coach and some great teammates there. And we have a special award to give to Coach Joe Spallina. And he's brought 3 members of his team with him. And I don't have those names, so you're going to have to introduce yourself. So come on up, guys. Let's start the
We haven't stayed.
So can I just say something? Sure. Yeah, and then maybe Sean wants to say something too. You know, what Kevin said is absolutely true. This is an incredible program that we have. This is one of the best programs in the country. They're ranked consistently in the top 20 in the general. He's done an outstanding job of assembling and leading the great team, as well as recruiting very well, which is critical. And I don't know how many of you are from Long Island. All of them? Yeah, exactly. Long Island, I don't need to tell you, Long Island is the home of some of the best of men's and women's lacrosse in the country. But many of the kids on Long Island don't want to stay. They want to go other places. So to recruit on Long Island, you think, oh, it should be easy. It's not so easy. And it really requires you to build a program that really stands out from other programs. And Joe has done that. And as I say, this team is great. I watched them play last year. They're incredible. I watched on TV the final game of the season for you guys in the playoffs. Just to get to the NCAA playoffs, particularly as women's lacrosse gets more and more popular, the other major conferences are adding lacrosse teams, so it's an incredible accomplishment, and I can't tell you how proud I am.
I would echo what Sam just said. When I moved here in July, I recognized the importance of lacrosse, and I also recognized the progress that our women's program has made. And so when I met with each of our head coaches in my first month, when I sat down with Joe, it was our goal is to win a national championship. And I knew this was a guy I was going to like working with because he recruits student athletes that have that same goal in mind, and they also represent the university the right way. They do well in school, they do great things in the community, but they're winners. And we're going to preview a little bit of our 5-year plan, and one of the elements in there is that we want to win a national championship within the next 5 years. And Joe knows I'm looking at his program as one of those that's well positioned to do that. So great things ahead for women's lacrosse. I thank the council, and I know Joe and his student athletes are going to continue to represent Stony Brook the way that we all want them to.
Great, great. So we have a plaque for Joe, and we have an awesome photo for the women on the team. So you guys choose where you want to put that, but why don't we have them hold that,
Yeah.
Joe? Hold that.
Thank you very much.
We'll take a photo, and the council wants to say a few words as well. Sure, you want to do that? Okay.
Thank you.
So you want to say-
First of all, I just want to tell everybody this is a tremendous honor. I have great pride in Long Island. I grew up on Long Island. I'd like to thank President Stanley, all members of the administration, and the council. Having grown up on Long Island, I've been able to see firsthand the rise of the university and truly appreciate and have the pride. You know, I talk to these guys all the time about PIO, pride and ownership. You play for the name on the front of the shirt because it's the only name that matters. And that they're part of building something special, which all the people in this room are part of building something special. That as a lifelong Long Islander, I truly appreciate. The rise of our program is something I take tremendous pride in. I think for the first time, like President Stanley said, there are reasons for Long Island athletes to want to stay home. We have something here, just like you guys are on the academic side. We're building something special in the athletic department. The hiring of Sean has been tremendous. To have somebody who talks about big time and hasn't been there is, for me, you know, if you know anything about me, I'm always shooting for the stars. Like the bar's here and I get to here is better than always catching the bar here. So our goal is to win a national championship. I don't hide from those words. None of that would be remotely possible for all the people in this room. So I just want to thank everybody. I would love to add women's lacrosse to that season ticket list that we have going. But again, for us to be nationally ranked and for us to build what we're building, it's built to last. Our best days are ahead of us, and you know, I think us being in the top 20 the last couple of years is something that has been we've taken Long Island by storm, and Long Island is my home, and Stony Brook my team, and I just wanted to tell you guys all it's an absolute pleasure to be here. Thank you.
You guys want to say anything?
Much better on the field than in the
Well, we thank you. It makes us feel proud of the role we play here serving the university. We have right now, women and men on all of our teams who do us proud of in the sports as well as in the academics. So congratulations, and we wish you a bright future.
Good luck. Have a great day.
I like Joe's line, built to last. You got to coin that somewhere, Sean. The future is bright. All right. Well, thank you all. That concludes the chair's report, and I'll hand it over to Sam for the president's report.
So thank you so much, Kevin. And guys, you're allowed to get back to class and working out and anything if you want. You're welcome to stay if you want, but I don't know how exciting it'll be. But just so you know. So we have had some amazing things happen since our previous meeting, and I wanted to go through a number of those. And looking at the agenda, I'm going to talk about this and also talk about Brookhaven. So that would have been the first thing on my list, but I'll move it to a separate thing in a second. I guess the first thing I wanted to talk about is something that's coming up that I wanted you to know about, and that's the Discovery Fund Prize, which is going to be done on this coming Thursday. One of the things we've been very interested in Stony Brook is finding ways to support basic research and to call attention to basic research. And that really fell into alignment with the program that Jim Simons and others had started called the Science Philanthropy Alliance, which is a program designed to get universities and colleges to raise money for basic research. So in other words, to come to donors and say, rather than supporting a particular professor or supporting a particular area, are you willing to give money to support cutting edge research, and then let the university decide which of its faculty members are best qualified to do that. So we're one of the first campuses to set up a fund like this, and the Stony Brook Foundation donated money to start the fund. And we decided to have our first awarding through a competition. So what we did was we asked young faculty to submit their cutting edge ideas in research. And these could be in physics, they could be in engineering, they could be in the life sciences. And we had a distinguished panel of our faculty members judge those 21 submissions and cut it down to 4 finalists. So these 4 finalists now are going to present, and what they're going to be presenting for is a chance for a $200,000 award to support their research coming from the Stony Brook Foundation. And the 4 are outstanding. Their names are in my report, and it talks a little bit about the work they do. But we also have some stellar judges as well. So Alan Alda will introduce the festivities and say a few words. But then we have Peter Agre, a Nobel laureate from Johns Hopkins, will be one of the judges. Robert Shelton, who's the former president of the University of Arizona and a physicist, will be one of the judges. Jim Simons will be one of the judges. And then Esther Takeuchi, one of our faculty, recipient of the National Medal of Invention and member of the National Academy of Engineering, will be the 4th judge. And what will happen is the 4 faculty members will come and give like TED Talks, 10-minute talks, where they have to convince the judges why their project is the best. The judges then will tire and vote, and they'll come back again and announce the winner of the first annual Discovery Fund Prize. So this will be held in Manhattan at the Simon Center. We're looking forward to good coverage of this across the country. We're not going to actually video stream it live, so if you're interested in coming, you should talk to Dexter, and we have a bus that'll be leaving the campus, and we still have room on. Is that correct? Okay. We still have room on that bus, or buses that will be leaving the campus to go there. 10:30 on Thursday. Going to be a great event, I think very exciting, one that we hope will put Stony Brook on the map for taking an innovative approach to fund young faculty and new research opportunities. Speaking of young people, we had a really fun event on December 2nd, which was called 40 Under 40, where we featured 40 Stony Brook alums who are under 40 years old who have done some amazing things. And this was based on nominations, and then there was a selection committee that selected them. It was an incredible evening. These young alums, I think, are doing some amazing things. They're involved in public service. They're entrepreneurs. They've started their own companies. Some of them have been extraordinarily successful with, net worth of their companies that approach $1 billion in terms of what they've done under 40. And others, though, are teaching and making a huge difference in terms of elementary school teaching, for example, in underrepresented or economically disadvantaged students. So there's a whole range of the kind of things they're doing. But I think it was a great opportunity for us to connect with a number of alums we haven't met before. There's tremendous energy in the room, and I think all the alums there said it's really great to be re-engaged with the university in this way, and I think they're excited about what we're doing. And we're going to continue to look for these kind of programs to engage our alumni, to get them involved, and particularly as we start our campaign in the future, I think that's going to be important. I wanted to tell you about something else that was really cool. I talked about basic research before. David Krause, who's one of our leading faculty members who works primarily in Madagascar, one of the world's leading paleontologists, found a fossil, 70-million-year-old fossil on Madagascar that turns out to be one of the oldest mammals that's been found. And what was interesting was mammals that had been discovered in the past have all been very small. Okay, probably to avoid the notice of dinosaurs or something very small. This is like a giant groundhog, so they named it Ventana sortici, but it's much larger than previous mammalian finds at that area. And again, I think gave us new insights into the history of mammals on this planet. This was big news, so it's nice to know that news sometimes it's other than the scandals or all the other things that we have that seem to dominate the internet and other places. We had 112 impressions from this. There were 112 people who saw things related to this. And one of the companies that works for us estimated the value of coverage in dollars as $38 million. And I don't know exactly what to do with those figures. So this is like if you had to buy the comparable ad time to the number of times this appeared in newspapers. But it made all the major papers, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, all the major network coverage as well. And it was a great thing for Stony Brook to have that. I know some of you were at the ceremony where we initiated the Island Federal Credit Union. This is a fantastic opportunity for Stony Brook. Island Federal Credit Union and Stony Brook University have partnered together. Island Federal is going to provide banking services on the campus for us, which will be significant. But they also made a donation in association with that of $7 million over a 10-year period. And that donation will go to support a number of programs, which includes our Children's Hospital, the Staller Center, the arena itself, internships at the business school for students, the Long Island Veterans Home, all are being covered essentially through this contribution. So we think it's going to be a great partnership. The sign will be going up soon next door, but we're very excited about that and the future of that facility. For those of you who didn't see it, I saw him last night at the basketball game. I was at the Knicks game last night, and I happened to see Chris Algieri there. And so for those of you who didn't see it, Chris Algieri, Stony Brook alum, went 12 rounds with Manny Pacquiao. He looks good. I saw Chris. I look like somebody who went 12 rounds with Manny Pacquiao. But we're very proud of him, and Chris, again, I think represented Stony Brook very well. For any of you who saw the fight on pay-per-view, which I did, he was introduced as the pride of Stony Brook University, Chris Algieri, and he's a great representative for us, and we're really proud of everything he's accomplished.
It was cool to hear Stony Brook mentioned.
Oh, absolutely.
Sam and I are texting each other like midnight, and rah-rah, because it was exciting to hear it.
It was
the pride and joy of Stony Brook University.
Exactly.
Cool.
Yeah, no, it was fantastic. And he was in the HBO. They do now, when there's a fight like that, they do Pacquiao Algieri 24/7, and they had a major feature on him coming to the football game, on him getting a jersey, and he actually wore his Stony Brook jersey to the weigh-in as well. So there was a lot of promotional activity for the university, and millions of people on pay-per-view heard about Stony Brook, who probably wouldn't have otherwise. I want to talk about some more serious issues that are very important. Some of you may have followed the fact that on October 2nd, Chancellor Zimfer issued a memorandum to the Board of Trustees at the request of Governor Cuomo regarding the system's sexual violence prevention and response efforts. The SUNY Board of Trustees then passed a resolution which requested the development of a comprehensive, uniform, system-wide sexual assault prevention response plan. In early December, we received finalized guidance, which includes a number of points that we will be implementing: uniform definition of affirmative consent, amnesty policy to encourage student reporting of sexual violence, a sexual violence victim survivor bill of rights, confidentiality in reporting, and training and education. I should say that many of these elements are already in our policies. Many of the components, confidentiality, reporting, training, and education, we've already done. Stony Brook has actually been ahead of many other universities. We've had a campus climate survey, which is also required here but not mentioned, for 5 years in place already. So we really know a lot about what goes on in the university through that. And we are absolutely committed to making sure that we're doing everything possible to make the campus safe and to combat any issues around sexual violence and harassment, both in terms of our response, but also very important in terms of preventing this from happening on campus as well. All these things that were done by SUNY require a fall implementation, so that we're in the process of making sure we will have all of those elements implemented by fall. Peter will present today some changes, or Maddie will, some changes essentially to the student policies that again deal with some changes we're making in our approach to this problem in some of the policies associated to it. But there will be more coming, and I think I told you that in our October meeting, that we'll continue to respond and continue to evolve to everything that's going on in this area. But we will continue to keep the council updated at all times on these issues, and be happy to answer any questions when I finish my report on any of those issues at all. So I wanted to turn now at last to Brookhaven National Laboratory. So in 1998, Brookhaven Science Associates were awarded by the Department of Energy Office of Science the contract to manage Brookhaven National Laboratory. Brookhaven Science Associates consisted of Stony Brook University, Battelle Memorial Corporation, which is based in Columbus, Ohio, and then our partner universities, Columbia, Cornell, Harvard, MIT, Princeton, and Yale. So a very distinguished group of universities. And we had been managing the laboratory since that time, which I think extraordinary success on the science side. The DOE made a decision to competitively compete the renewal of that laboratory for sponsorship and management of that laboratory. And that competition took place really all through last year, all through this year, and from some of last year as well. We were absolutely confident that we should be the group to manage Brookhaven National Laboratory, but anytime you have to compete something like this, there is a risk that another party could come in and manage the laboratory. And we know there were a number of parties that were very interested in taking over the management of Brookhaven National Laboratory. There's tremendous prestige associated with managing a national laboratory. University of Chicago, Princeton, Berkeley, University of Illinois are among the groups that are involved in managing laboratories, so great kind of peer group. Michigan State will be involved soon in managing the laboratories. It's a great peer group to be with, but also it's a critical component of what we do in terms of science for Stony Brook University. If we had lost this competition, the lab still would have stayed here, but the kind of things we do in terms of joint faculty appointments, in terms of the ability to recruit strategically between the two institutions, in terms of having a local institution that understands the region and community and that makes decisions based on things that can benefit to the region and community as well, all would have been lost. So there's a lot at stake here. We put together a very strong team for the recompete. Dune Gibbs became the director. Dune appointed an outstanding team of associate lab directors. I think one of the things that made our proposal so strong was the team that Dune assembled. On this side, Dennis played a key role as the provost and vice president for Brookhaven Affairs. Rich Reeder, what was called from the Department of Geosciences, was what was called our capture manager. So he was responsible for being Stony Brook's representative on the team that put things together. Peter Paul, who's very experienced, a former lab director at Brookhaven, and a Stony Brook faculty member, also played a key advisory role. The cost of putting this recompetition together was significant. When people were working on the recompetition, we have to pay their salaries. The government can't pay them while they're working on the recompetition, so the cost was very significant. But at the end of the day, we were successful, and that's the good news. And we were awarded another 5 years of managing Brookhaven National Laboratory with an additional 15 years possible based on performance. So this could be a 20-year contract, essentially. A tremendous amount of hard work. Brookhaven employs nearly 3,000 people. It's the second largest single-site employer on Long Island and brings in more than $600 million a year in annual revenue, so it's really critical. There are a number of important programs at Brookhaven that are bring in scientists. Nearly 4,500 scientists visit Brookhaven every year. The Relativistic Heavy Ion Collider, that's done the most important work in nuclear physics over the past decade. So really everything we know about the fine details of what holds atoms together and the particles that make up atoms, that really comes from work at Brookhaven National Laboratory. That's going to be, in our proposal, we plan to transition from a RIC to an electron relativistic heavy ion collider, which will take us even further in understanding the basics of nuclear physics. And that was a major part of our proposal, was to lead the ERIC effort. The NSLS-2, the National Light Source Synchrotron 2, is just turned on, so they just flipped the on switch for that. It's the brightest and most intense light source in the world. It's incredible for things like understanding structures. So when one wants to do nanomaterials, for example, it's critical for that. It's the work that's done to understand the structure of molecules that are used to treat diseases, for example. So to understand at the fine level how one molecule, how a drug blocks another molecule, that's done with the kind of light sources, and imaging is done with the kind of light sources available by NSLS-2. It's replacing NSLS-1. It was nearly $1 billion construction project. And now, as I said, it's going to be the major source and the best source for these kind of studies in the world, and again, will attract users. We have a great Center for Nanomaterials, Centers for Renewable Energy there. All of these things, I think, both benefit the nation and the Department of Energy, as well as benefiting the state and our region. And I wanted to express my thanks to the state, which came forward with some support that also helped our proposal. And I wanted to especially thank Governor Cuomo, as well as the Long Island legislators, who were very supportive of the state putting in some money to help us in our application for Brookhaven National Laboratory. So that's huge for us, and now we get to do the fun part, which is doing the science and implementing a proposal which I think, again, captured really the attention of the Department of Science and the Department of Energy, and allowed us to retain the laboratory. So, as I say, many exciting things. There's a lot more things in your report, and I encourage you to go through it. I've only touched the surface. It's been a very busy time, but I'm happy to answer questions anybody has.
Great. Thanks, Sam. I'll start off with two, one observation and a question. The observation is, the partnership that is the manager for BNL with Stony Brook and Harvard and Columbia. I mean, in terms of we're always reaching, and trying to improve the image of the university, I'm not sure that's something we play up enough. And I think that's something that we should highlight a little bit more, the fact that we have this partnership with, the top tier of academia, and to have Stony Brook, play in that league and have them partner with us, I think it's pretty cool. Something I think we should promote a little bit more. Yeah. And then just a question. I know it's in the report, but I think worth highlighting to everybody is the other announcement the governor made regarding Stony Brook's role in our efforts and County Executive Steve Ballone's efforts to protect our groundwater. Can you share that with us?
Absolutely. So, for sure. So, one of the, as everybody knows, one of the critical issues for Long Island is water, water security. And one of the challenges that we face is the fact that we have issues particularly involving high levels of nitrogen that contaminate groundwater potentially, as well as contaminate our bays, leading to algal blooms and other problems for the environment. And a major source of that nitrogen is wastewater. And as you know, particularly eastern Long Island is almost predominantly based on septic tank technology as opposed to large scale sewer systems. And these septic tanks do have the possibility, again, of leaking into groundwater and leading to this kind of contamination. So we really need to do a better job, essentially finding ways to get nitrogen out of these systems. And without going too far, almost a Manhattan-like project essentially is the idea to really change our approach to this problem and develop new technologies that could address this, and really for both as a source of jobs for this region, so as a technological niche, essentially, for Long Island in terms of dealing with this problem, but also, of course, with the extraordinary benefit of treating our backyards. And so that's what's been really important. So Governor Cuomo announced establishment of the New York State Center for Clean Water Technology, which will be based at Stony Brook University. This was done in conjunction with some major efforts around sewage treatment plants and wastewater treatment in both NASA and Suffolk County. This is going to be a joint effort. It'll be at our Southampton campus as well as our main campus. It's going to be an effort involving our engineering department as well as our School of Marine and Atmospheric Sciences. We have some scientists in SOMAS who are very expert on nitrogen and its treatment. We have some new civil engineer recruits, essentially in our engineering department, who are very skilled in the technical aspects of this and actually developing the systems that might be available to treat this. So this is going to be really exciting. We hope this is the beginning of funding for this. We think to do it at the scale we'd like to do it would require even more, but it's very exciting, and we really look forward to make very significant contributions to this area. Thank you for reminding me of that.
Cool. Anybody else, any questions for Sam?
There are no questions, but I really want to commend the university for the Brookhaven. And I agree with Kevin, that needs to be promoted. I never even knew that there was such a, we always heard of Brookhaven and Stony Brook now, but I never knew that we were, congratulations.
Thank you, Father Alex.
That is extraordinary.
Yeah, thank you, Father Alex, and we'll work on that. People should know, and because of course not only is it a partnership with those universities, but we actually lead that partnership.
That's what I'm saying, it's amazing.
Yeah, that's the good news, right, so, yeah.
Anything else for Sam? You know, we say it often, but, you know, we're really lucky to have somebody like Sam here as a leader. I mean, here's a guy, he's talking about nitrogen bloom, NSLS, you know, synchrotrons at BNL, infectious disease and Ebola op-eds. He really, he does, you know, cover the entire gamut of everything that Stony Brook is trying to be leaders in terms of our programs. And he's like the biggest cheerleader for all of the sports teams as well. Rarely misses any type of game. So, Sam, thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And, you know, I forgot to say thank you so much to John and Jean as well. And you know, Jean left before I had a chance. I realized I meant to say that at the beginning of my thing. It was a pleasure, John, working with you, and I want to thank you for all of your contributions.
Thank you. I almost had a question. Kevin said, anyone have a question?
Yeah, and to Jean, for the record, to Jean, I've thanked Jean many times before, but I wanted to thank her publicly. You guys were great. Yeah, yeah, sure.
John, did you have a question?
No.
Okay.
I got like 27 questions about how the RIC is going to be coming. Like, I've been to the RIC a couple times in my prior career, and I'm not going to ask them now though, because it will take you like 7 hours to explain it to me.
Well, you may be now stretching my knowledge in terms of what I know, but I think you know, it's a great thing to, you know, would be to go on a tour.
It's the greatest.
Of the lab, and since Stony Brook does manage it, that's something we could do, is arrange to have a meeting at Brookhaven, perhaps if the chair is interested. It's a little longer drive for everybody, a little further east, but
Or a shorter one.
yeah, depends on where you live. So, but that might be for another meeting to go to Brookhaven, and then people who do know better, Chris, could actually tell you about how that.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
Every time I go out there, I realize how little I know. But it's exciting. Yeah, we should do that. Thanks, Sam. No other questions for Sam? We will continue on with the agenda, and we're happy now to have an update from Sean Highburn. He is our new, as you know, AD, and off to a great start. And I saw Sean at the opening night of the men's basketball season. And if you haven't made it over to the new gym yet, folks, it's really amazing. Something else we could be proud of here at Stony Brook. So Sean's going to give us an update. Sean, thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. Hearing all of these incredible things about Stony Brook, it just gets me so excited. It's exactly why I came here. It had very little to do with what we had done in athletics, but it had everything to do with where this university was going and the opportunity to be a part of it and use athletics to be that vehicle to promote this incredible university. It was an opportunity that I couldn't pass up. So I thank Sam for bringing me here. And it's been 5+ months, and every day I'm more invigorated by what we get to do. And I think with Coach Polina and his student athletes, it just gets me excited. And so I am so confident in where we're going. What I found when I got here is we had great people. We have great coaches. We have amazing student athletes. What they need was the opportunity to take that next step. So what I did was, as I said, I met with each head coach, and I asked them, okay, tell me where you are now, and tell me what you need to go to the next level. So pages and pages of notes later, and after meeting with President Stanley, campus leadership, donors, we set to work on our 5-year plan, because that was what we needed. We needed to be able to show people where we're going. We have had great success in our young history, but we want to take that next step, just as this university wants to take that next step. I said this at my press conference, and I believe it today, when President Stanley talked about being a top 20 public research institution. That got me excited because we talked about being a top 20 institution in terms of our athletics programs. And I don't believe for a second that we should hold ourselves back by our size, our youth. We want to shoot big, and we're going to. But that has to start with the plan. So we have gotten ourselves to a point now where our 5-year plan is coming together quite nicely. It still needs a little time to marinate before we present to the public. But I wanted to have the opportunity to talk you through some of the elements today, because I think it's very, very important. I view our role in athletics as we are here to align with the university's strategic plan. This is all about elevating the profile of our university. Athletics is merely a vehicle by which to do that. And this is what we'll call it. It's a transformative vision for Stony Brook athletics. I think what's interesting is as I talk to people, expectations are different. You know, many of you have been here and seen the growth of athletics, and it's been amazing to go from club sports to Division III to Division I. It's been a rapid ascent, but we've got to take that next giant leap forward, and we have to do it very quickly, but we have to be methodical in how we go about it. Because where we are in the landscape of college athletics, we don't want to get lost in the shuffle. We want to be proactive. We want to lead the charge versus follow up. So that's what this plan will help us do. What we had to do was we had to start internally and let our staff know, so then we could let our donors and campus constituents know, who are we and why are we here? You know, and a lot of different answers come, but it came to this. We really needed to understand and articulate really why we're here. And this is why we're here. We will live our lives and make every decision based upon this vision statement, which is to positively transform the life of each student athlete. Everything that we do, we will trace back to this. And when we're having internal conversations, if we make a decision that's counter to this, we need to check ourselves. Because if we're not living this every single day, then we will not get to where we want to go. So it's very, very important. How are you? Positively transform the life of each student athlete, every one of them. That's a football player, women's lacrosse player, volleyball player, scholarship athlete, walk-on, every single one of them. We want them to leave here with a degree in hand, more prepared for the job market than ever before, and feeling like Stony Brook athletics, coming to Stony Brook, changed their lives for the better. That's how we live every day. So our mission will really support that. I won't read this verbatim, but it's all about, I will use this transformative word all the time because that's what I believe we're here to do, transformative life experiences. We want to have competitive success. We want to be in the NCAA tournament, in every sport, every year. We'll adhere to the highest standards of integrity, sportsmanship, and respect on and off the field. We want to create and cultivate an inclusive and innovative environment where diversity is essential for growth, and embrace our unique role as ambassadors for Stony Brook. And that's really where all of you come into play here. Whether you're an athletics fan or not, I know you are all here because you love this university. So quite honestly for me, while I work with Dexter moving forward to help us raise money, I honestly don't care if someone's giving to medicine or to engineering. I want them to give to athletics, of course, but as long as they're supporting this university, we're going to accomplish our goals. Connecting people to this fine university is what we're here to do. But really it's about expanding our reach on a local, regional, and national level. People are starting to know more about Stony Brook, but not at the rate that they should. Athletics can help with that, and I intend to do that. So our 5-year plan, these are the core components of it. And, you know, as I sat with each head coach and did my due diligence, a lot of themes emerged. But what I realized quickly was we had to break those down into core areas that we could focus on and then present to people who love Stony Brook and donors so that they can help us fulfill our vision, which goes back to transforming the life of each student athlete. So number one is student athlete development and welfare. Nothing is more important than this. So as much as we can invest in this area, we're going to do that. This is key to everything that we do. So first and foremost, transformative life experiences. We want student athletes to leave here prepared for the job market, prepared for the world, and we believe that we can do that. We will also have some key metrics in this plan. Our student athletes last year had a cumulative GPA of 3.08. We're going to set a goal for 3.15 over this 5-year period. We believe that we can get there. Now, how do we get there? We have to hire more academic staff. We have to provide more transformative experiences within the Goldstein Academic Center. But we can do that. We want to increase the number of individual student athletes that have a 3.5 or above. Again, we have competitors. We have those student athletes that can get there. So we want to do that. We have to hire a nutritionist. We have to hire a counselor to deal with the very serious mental health and wellness issues that face not just our student athletes, but all of our students in general. So these are things that we will look to do in this student athlete development and welfare component. Competitive success, we want it. We're going to have it. Kevin mentioned the 2012 College World Series team, and of course the great run our Women's Lacrosse program had. I want to get to a point where we're not shocking the world, we're not upsetting anyone, we're there. These student athletes expect to win, and it's not going to be an upset when we beat Maryland to win a national championship. We expect to get there. We have to really put our student athletes in position to get that.
That's good luck.
So, I mentioned a goal that will be in the plan is to win at least one national championship in the next 5 years, absolutely attainable. UMBC, men's soccer teams in the Final Four right now out of the America East. Albany Field Hockey, Final Four out of the America East. Very possible. I think more than one would be definitely be achievable. We'll also have in the plan, I don't want to give too much of it away, but to have a minimum of 5 teams reach the NCAA tournament each year and advance to the second round. Again, it's great to get there. We don't just want to get there. We want to compete. We want to win. But we have to invest to allow our programs to get there. So we'll definitely have that. So we'll talk a lot about what it takes. Certainly it takes recruiting the right way, hiring, retaining, and supporting quality coaches in all of our sports. So that will go into our competitive success component. Of course, we can't do anything without raising money and marketing the program. So I'm very excited again to work with Dexter. When I first met with President Stanley and Dexter, at the beginning of this entire process, I knew that we were going to work very well together, and I'm very excited to launch this plan in conjunction with the campus campaign when we get to that point. We have a very undeveloped fundraising program in athletics. Dexter has done a lot to bring the university's fundraising program to a new level. I'm excited about what we'll do in the athletics realm to raise more money. We've got to find ways to connect with new people. We can't rely on one donor to get things done. We need to expand our reach, and we plan to do that. We're hiring new staff, we're training them the right way, we're reorganizing our department so that we can do some great things in support of these student athletes. Marketing. I have a marketing background, and I intend to use it here. I think we do a great job. I think we have good people that are doing their best to push the Stony Brook athletics brand out there. But we've got to do a lot more, and we have to work very closely with campus to do that. If you look at our logos, for example, this is just one example. You see the SB, you see the wolf head, you see variations of it. We need to be consistent. We need to put our message out there and nail it home and be consistent with that. So we're going to look a lot at our branding. A radio voice. We need a radio partner to broadcast our games. so that when you're driving around in New Jersey, you can hear Stony Brook football. We've got to work on those things, and we will get there. Diversity and gender equity, extremely important. This isn't just a buzzword for us. You hear a lot of universities and certain athletic departments talk about this. We have to have this to be successful. We have to have this to be successful. Our student-athlete population is diverse. Our coaching administrative staff largely is not. We need to change that. We need to be very, very good in this area. We need to live. Diversity is a key word for us. And when we can, look at coaching administrative hires and identify qualified candidates to bring in to make our program better, and we will do that. Gender equity, I don't just want to have a good women's program. I want us to be known as a dominant women's athletics program. When President Stanley commissioned the Carr report, one of the findings was we had some work to do in this area, and we intend to rectify this. So I'm very excited about some of the elements of this component, which you'll hear more about. But again, this isn't just a nice to have, this is a have to have, because it will help us get better faster. Facilities, when I talk to people that have seen the rise of Stony Brook athletics, they talk about the facilities now. And we do have some fine ones. The arena is first class. I think Laval Stadium is a nice stadium, but we've got more to do here. So what we're going to do in this area is identify several of our facilities that need to be upgraded, renovated, and brought into the modern era. I will tell you, Joe Nathan Field, again, we have a top 25 baseball program with a baseball stadium that you can't sit and watch a game without having some severe discomfort. We have to fix that situation, and we will. Our stadium, Laval Stadium, is a great place to watch a game. We need to expand it. We need to modernize it. We need to bring it into the modern era, because to get to where we want to go, we've got to do some work there. I think the arena has shown what the big time looks like, and so now we want to bring it to all of our other venues. Internal integrity is very, very important for a number of reasons, but this is our business operation. This is professional development of our young staff. We have some tremendous young coaches, young staff that don't really have the opportunity to have those professional development opportunities, because we need to invest in our people here, and I think that will make us better. But I also want us to look at some efficiencies that we can be better at to help our business operations. Compliance. I don't just want to have an NCAA compliance office for the sake of having it. I want to be proactive and have education for our coaches and student athletes and staff. Legislation changes at the drop of a hat. So we need to be at the forefront of that and be very proactive in how we run our department. And then number 7 is one that we talk a lot about internally, and I think when, again, President Stanley and I first met, football has to be one where, bless you,
Thank you.
where we either go all in or we turn the other way. Very sad to see what happened at UAB, which just cut their football program. I think that's a grave mistake, because football can bring so much to the university. When I put this up here, I always have to say, this is not about putting football student athletes or putting football coaches in a different place in terms of how we support them. We're still, well, again, how do we transform the life of each student athlete? Football can do that in so many ways. It can bring more people to campus than any other event. It can bring pride in such a way that makes people feel closer to Stony Brook. It can generate revenues that no other sport can. So football, to me, is a very, very good investment. And I think that this is one that if we do it the right way, and we grow it organically, and we make smart decisions, this can be something that we never thought that it was. When I talk to people now that were here in the club in Division III days and see what we've become, I appreciate that, but they have no idea how great it's going to be. And President Stanley knows. And I just need everybody, not just in this room, but out there, to believe in the power of football. We've got to figure out how to draw the students into it more. Because we do this the right way, we'll be able to support all of our student athletes in ways that we want to, and we can support the university in such ways that we never thought possible. Because if working with our campus departments, utilizing football game day to celebrate this university, we can take this whole place some tremendous new heights. So these are the core components. Our plan right now is to fine-tune this and release this sometime in 2015. But we plan to be out there with it. We plan to be very bold, but we plan to be successful in this initiative. So I know it's possible, and I know we're capable of it because I've seen what this university has been able to achieve in 57 years. I've seen what President Stanley has been able to do in 5 years. I know in 5 years we can make this happen. And so I'm very excited. I'm looking forward to working with all of you to help accomplish these great things and continue to move Stony Brook to the places that we all know it can go. Thank you very much.
Anybody have any questions for Sean?
I'd just like to make a couple very quick comments. So first of all, I want to reiterate something that Joe actually said and that Coach Molina said in his comments, and that is one of the things that we've strived to do at Stony Brook is understand not just where we are, but where we want to go, right? What are we looking to become? And I think that's something that Sean has really brought to athletics. So coming essentially from the Pac-12, coming from Oregon State University, he knows excellence in this realm. So he knows excellence in this realm. And that's, you know, this outstanding team that I've worked very hard to assemble at Stony Brook. Many the same. In other words, they come from institutions that we either aspire to be or are at the level already. And I think that makes a difference in terms of understanding the critical issues and in terms of understanding what quality and excellence and what can be achieved. So they know what can be achieved in particular realms. As I said, Sean brings that, and that vision, I think, it has been, I would say, invigorating, refreshing, and I think has really driven a lot of excitement, essentially, in athletics because of your vision. So from many of the coaches that I've talked to have been so pleased with your leadership. And then I think a sense of openness as well in athletics, I think, which is very important too. Accessibility, openness, all those things I think Sean has brought in these first 5 months. So thank you for your hard work on behalf of Stony Brook, and we're glad to hear it. This is an exciting proposal, and as Sean said, I think the key is a lot of things have to come together, but one of the critical keys is both community and donor support. So I'm always, you know, Dexter became the senior vice president. I don't know if we ever formally announced it at this meeting. Did we? Okay, good. So Dexter became senior vice president, in part because anytime I talk about our big plans at Stony Brook, I turn and look at Dexter and I say, and donor and advancement support is going to be really important. But those are going to be critical. So we know that, you know, we've had some amazing support from the state of New York to help us. And Laval Stadium is a great example. The renovation of the arena is tremendous support from the state, and we're very grateful. But we also recognize that we have to do a lot ourselves as well. We can't simply rely on state support to do these things, so we have to get private support as well. So that partnership is going to be very important, and we really look forward to working with everybody to get this. I think it's a very bold plan, but as Sean said, I think it's achievable. I look at our peer schools across the country, and they have achieved in this area, and I don't think there's any reason why Stony Brook can't. Every program faces issues and challenges, but I think that I don't see anything here that we can't overcome in moving forward. But again, it's about excellence, and you know, the women's lacrosse team is a great example of, you know, you can build excellence and be competitive in a variety of areas. And so I think it's great we have them here today because I think they speak very well to the kinds of things we're trying to do in athletics.
Thanks, Sam.
Yeah.
Yeah, just if I could echo a couple of things Sam said. I had the privilege of serving on the search committee for the athletic director. And the passion and excitement that Sean just showed to us with his proposal came across in the interview, and I know we found the right person. So it's exciting, yeah, Sean, to see in 5 short months what you've done already and your plans for the future. And what's important for us, especially for the newer council members, is again, our role is different than maybe other boards you serve on. You know, we're not, you know, see, we're not getting reports from the audit and finance committees and typical things you would get at a board meeting. We are supposed to be eyes and ears in the community, ambassadors for the university in the community, and at our meetings, we get armed with facts. We hear some neat things that Sam shared with us, and now we've just learned some things that Sean has shared with us. In every meeting, we learn something new, whether it's at the medical school or you know, any of the other great programs. And then it's up to us to then go out and be supporters of that in the community and to help connect people to the university, to then be supporters of the vision that Sam and the great team that he's assembled, like Sean, are trying to implement. And so that's sort of our role, and that's why we do these things and have reports and presentations to us here at the council meeting. So again, we get armed with facts so we can be better communicators and supporters and cheerleaders in the region to then help connect people and build more support for the university. So it's exciting to be a part of. The plan was very exciting, Sean, and commend you for it. And we look forward to being supporters for you and the entire, you know, athletics department in the future. Right? Thank you. Good. Anybody else? All right.
I'm
Nope.
a basketball player,
Yes.
but it was driving me crazy. So football really drives it that much. I mean, I'm a football, sure, I follow them. But how much money is it gonna take to do the football segment?
Well, it's significant, and I.
Dexter, I want you to
neglected
call me.
add- Well, I neglected to add that so much of the NCAA landscape is being driven by football right now. So in terms of conference affiliation, in terms of television, it is all being driven by football. So I think for us to not have this be a priority would be an oversight, but I really do feel that the benefit to us can be significant toward being able to reinvest dollars
And then in
back.
regards to the rate, don't we have, I'm sorry to ask that question, I know that I hear when I'm driving my car, Rutgers has a, I thought that was a very good one. We don't have any affiliation with any radio station? I thought that was really a very good observation,
Well,
because I've never heard.
We don't. We have, we're fortunate to have a campus radio station that does cover us, but what you see, again, most athletics programs have a strong partner that has a reach that we're looking for. We're really looking for a tri-state reach, one where we can have, that has programming throughout the day,
Sure, yeah.
receives advertising revenue that they can then help reinvest back into us. So that's really what we're looking for, just to increase our exposure on a local, regional, and national level.
Do you envision us going to a major conference in the next 5 years? And which conference would that be?
It's a great question. I think right now our goal is to be the best that we can be. We're in the CAA for football and American East for basketball. Let's be really, really good. And rather than look at where we might want to land, you want to be a school that's desired, that is invited. And that's really where, again, the football piece is so key to this.
Right.
Because if your football isn't strong, chances are you won't get that invitation. But right now, we're very happy with the CAA and America East, and we just have to continue to grow and be
But
very successful.
5 years is a pretty aggressive, is the football piece part of your 5-year plan? Because that seems to be very aggressive. I mean, I
It
love
is.
it, big goal, but 5 years to get into a major conference, we would have to be kind of along that path now, wouldn't you think?
It's aggressive, and part of what will not be in this plan is conference. What we want to do is we want to be a model AAU program like a UCLA, like a UVA, in terms of the academic reputation and football success. And we want to invest in it. We have to expand our stadium. We have to. If we want to consider any type of conference. But right now, we also have to get more support. We have to sell this stadium out. We have to get more students involved in it before we're a desirable candidate for anything. So I think right now where we are, bless you, Ed, we're in a great place right now. We have to continue to build that. But we're starting this right now as far as football is concerned. Because 5 years will pass in the blink of an eye.
That's true.
Right.
I know that from experience.
So continued good luck there, Sean, and look forward to getting an update from you in another year or so. All right? Great. Well, sticking with the sports and athletics theme, we now have an update on the Campus Recreation Center that we are currently located in. And we're here today is Jay Souza. He's the director of the Campus Recreation Program. Jay?
If I could just chime in as
Sure.
Jay's walking up there. So we wanted to have the meeting here, obviously, because it's an extraordinary facility. And one of the things that I think all major universities have been doing is recognizing that as we have this extraordinary student population on our campus, that we really do want to provide for them great opportunities for their fitness and for their enjoyment of sports. And Stony Brook really had not done that, I think, to the level we should have for our students. And but luckily, people, well before I came, initiated the plan to build this recreation center. And students, at the time it was first considered, actually voted and said they would accept a fee to help maintain it if it was built, and the students honored that promise. So even though that promise was made years before this building actually got in the ground, the students honored that promise and accepted a fee to help support its operation. So Jay will tell you about it. Many of you were gracious enough to come to the naming of the facility. It's the Walter J. Horries Campus Recreation Center. For those of you who weren't, were you going to talk about Walter Horries at all, Jay?
I was going to announce the naming.
Okay, okay. So
But you did it.
yeah, okay, that's fine. So Walter J. Horries was in construction. He actually laid the bricks, essentially, for the chemistry building across the street, and his company did, as well as a number of other buildings on campus. And his daughter, Marilyn Horries, now Marilyn Horries Simons, is, of course, one of our most distinguished and successful alums. And so we named it in honor of Walter, both because of his job in helping to build the campus, as well as his family's work in helping to build our campus in so many ways. But it's also as an honor for all those skilled craftsmen who helped build this university. And so we're very proud to have it as a Walter J. Horries Campus Recreation Center. Jay has been leading since we built it, and Jay, thank you.
Thank you. So as Dr. Stanley mentioned, yes, we had the naming of the facility earlier in the fall semester. And since that event, I can say that Simon's family have been in quite a few times to actually utilize the center, most frequently before Thanksgiving break. So that was exciting to see them actually utilize and see their passion for health and wellness for our students on campus. All of some other highlights to start with, just riding on the coattails of success, and you'll see some pieces about the rec center will be offered here. Of note, we were just awarded the Facility of Merit by Athletic Business last month down in Orlando, which is a great achievement for us at Stony Brook University. And also, as a note, our club sport program has grown from roughly 28 when I first started, up to about 41 now, and our undefeated men's rugby is the national champion. So they'll be looking forward to USA and sevens rankings and competing in the sevens in the spring semester. So it's a very exciting time for us as well. So I'm going to give you a brief overview of what is in the rec center for those of you who haven't had a tour previously, and for those that have, if you would like another one, I'll provide that at the end of today's meeting. There are 3 stories to our complex. At the first floor, the one you're in now, we have our 3-court gymnasium, wooden court that can be converted for basketball, badminton, and volleyball. Multi-purpose room you are in right now. It can be divided into 2 rooms. We have lounges, and something we've noticed since we've opened, I didn't expect this, but recreation has become a destination of choice for our students. My lounges and lobby areas are packed with students, whether they're doing homework, socializing, or they just want to hang out. We find that the students really love to hang out. They want to be here. So that was exciting for me to see that change. We also have our fitness studio, which is down the hall. I'll show that to you for our fitness classes. All of the free weight room that you probably saw when you first came to the front desk area. Second floor, we have cardio spaces along with some more exercise stations for machine use. We have 2 more studios, including an indoor cycling room. We have a 1/10-mile track and a wellness suite, which is more private space for assessments. And we bring colleagues in from across campus to run cholesterol screenings, etc., along with our personal training sessions. Downstairs, we have primarily storage for our club sports. We have a multi-activity court, which is a synthetic floor. And the court is extra wide, extra deep for indoor floor hockey, soccer, rollerblading. And we use that for anything from, like I said, roller hockey, badminton, volleyball, basketball, and there are lots of lines out there. I'll show you that for you. And here are some great pictures. The architectural firm was Sasaki that did this facility. They send some of their professional photographers out. That's why you'll see some nice pictures here. Just for some general use throughout the day. It has great aesthetic value. What else do we do? As part of what we offer the campus, we enhance student wellness. We build community with a tremendous social experience. As I see the tourists come in on a daily basis now, we've become a really strong recruitment tool for our campus. And I do surveys every spring semester that encompass the university at large, not just this segmented population, but we find that our students are more apt to remain here when they participate in campus recreation and come to our center. Obviously, it helps with a vibrant campus, and with Healthier You, Dr. Stanley's initiative of preventative health, faculty, staff are now becoming more aware of what we offer, and we actually hold fitness classes here under the Healthier You auspice. They come and participate. Here's a picture of what the free room looks like. What we offer compared to most other areas in Long Island, compared to most gyms, and I put a lot of effort into this, is to offer diversity in terms of our programming. So a simple thing like a platform may not seem special to most of you, but you don't see that in the area, any of the local gyms. It's very rare to see that. I have multiple platforms with the style and forms of exercise these days. You have to be on the cutting edge for what's offered, and most students that are now alumni, which we actually offer membership now to alumni. The demand out there is big, and most of them come back to us because of some of these communities. Here's some good shots upstairs. This is one piece of our cardio space, which everything has the latest technology with integrated screens that you can utilize for cable TV, personalized workouts, etc. Here's a picture of our indoor cycling class, our indoor track, which is 1/10 of a mile. And here's downstairs with some setups. You see all the lines. That's the rounding corner, the tee boxes, dashboards. Right now we have badminton. All set up. So what do we do here? We offer drop-in recreational opportunities, so students just have their ID, they get in. They're able to use the facility. It's based on a fee service for undergraduates, graduates, and faculty, staff, spouses, partners, and alum need to pay a fee to join. Intramural programs are offered throughout the day and night, so we have anything in terms of softball to basketball, floor hockey, badminton. Now we're home to over 35 sport clubs, and that seems to be growing year by year. The demand on our facility is tremendous by these student clubs on both our indoor and outdoor spaces. We have over 55 fitness classes a week. I mentioned the track, multi-purpose room here. We have over 250 student employees, which I think is really a benefit to the campus. We're providing engaged learning opportunities for our student employees, and we really take pride in that. We have a multi-tiered student development program in place. It starts at entry level, and I've increased it at 4th level, so our students can see a track in their career as they go up in the rec center, hopefully taking those opportunities for development into the professional lives. We have 8 professional staff, 8 custodial staff. Custodial's here 24/7, so I have a crew that comes in and cleans up at night. And we're fastly approaching our 1 millionth user that's come through the door. I think by probably the second week of spring semester, we'll hit 1 million. I'm very confident in that. We're averaging right now anywhere between 1,800 and 3,000 a day. The first day we opened up a fall semester this year, we were at 2,900, and that was our max last year in one day, and that was in the spring semester. Our peak time, for those that don't know, in recreation is spring semester when the students go back. So I'm hoping we hit over 3,000 on that. And the most popular time when I pull my data on our utilization is between Monday and Wednesday, 4 to 9. Some interesting things. So what we did since we opened up, some of you were here when we did the tours initially a couple of years ago. I had new platforms I put in. I put in an indoor climbing wall, which is on a rotating wall, which is a feature when I did the surveying for students. That was one of the pieces they really wanted, was a climbing wall, so I can't fit a vertical wall, so I cheated. And you'll see when you go upstairs, it's a dynamic piece, not many people have it on Long Island. Locker replacement, you may have noticed as you walk down the halls, we used to have the power cord lockers. I put in metal lockers because the other ones just weren't holding up as well. We added additional cameras in our hallways and access areas for safety and theft prevention. And we have a keyless entry door project underway. We have multiple doors, as this one is on Linnell, based on the card system. We've got quite a few more going in throughout the year, with the goal being totally keyless. So that's less our student managers have to do. So overall, a quick summary, this is what we have to offer. I mentioned a lot of this before. We are open about 110 hours a week, and it's quite a dynamic place. So, any questions that we have right now?
I'm just curious, do you have shower facilities?
We have 2 locker rooms downstairs, yes. We have showers and family changing rooms.
With the popularity of the facility and the volume, do students have to wait for machines or access to some of the equipment?
I would say upstairs in the cardiac area, no. We've done a good job of buying enough, and I don't have time limit on machines. Downstairs in the career room, yes, it does get congested. I did not expect the overwhelming demand for freeway use, but that whole shift in gyms and health clubs has really changed over the past 5-10 years, with more and more freeway use for males and females. So I would say that area does get congested, and it can be early morning, noon, anytime you walk in there. It's pretty exciting.
Do we see the student athletes coming over here too, or are they restricted just to the one at the gym?
Well, I am a strength coach. I'm going to say I don't like to see the student athletes in here, because if I was a strength coach, I would want them working out outside of their program. But during their off season to recreate, I absolutely do. They come in often to play basketball, or just they do work out, like I said, when it's not peak time for them. But I have student athletes that also work for me, and they ask me for programs, and I'll say, no, I'm not giving you a program to be clear with the strength coach. But generally speaking, yes, it's more in terms of social engagement than it is actual hardcore exercise.
For a non-student, how much is the annual membership?
For faculty staff right now, I think we're about $310 a year. We offer a monthly option. For alumni, partners, spouses, it is about $400 a year.
How much demand could you take from that? So in other words, you don't want it to become so crowded that students can't access what they need. So have you modeled that, or?
In terms of utilization for external folks that want to come in?
Correct.
Early morning?
You've said that much more eloquently.
Yeah, early morning.
Yes, correct.
Although we do get a big bump early in the morning at 6 when we first open, it dies down around 8. Between 8 and noon is probably the most popular class time for students, so we don't see much utilization during that time. And between noon and 3, it can be moderate. I find that Monday, Wednesdays are busier than Tuesdays, Thursdays. That's a decent time. After 5, unfortunately, is about the most popular time that faculty and staff want to come in. It's also the busiest time with our student population as well, so it will get very busy after that.
So what I'm asking is, have you set a number and said that at some point, we can't take more external, essentially, because it would decrease the experience for students? And I'm supportive of that, by the way, just so you know. So
I haven't set a cap on that quite yet, because honestly, our numbers aren't that big for external stakeholders. I don't aggressively market that either.
Yeah.
Our students are the center.
Correct.
Everything else is secondary. So I'm not out there trying to sell memberships. It's just I've done it based on request. So I've had a lot of faculty that will not join us because their spouse and partners can't join. And then with Dexter and Matt, the alumni really come to the table, especially recent alumni. It really isn't the older alumni that have graduated, it's the recent alumni the past 2-3 years that really want to stay here because they have an affinity for campus. So we opened it up. And we did that strategically, knowing that within a 5-mile radius, we may see half a dozen to 20 alum, but outside that circle, they're less apt to come in based on the proximity to campus and their inability to park. So I don't see the numbers drastically affecting our membership base.
Good.
And council members, again, one of our goals is, we get to name buildings, and I don't know if you were here when we approved the naming of this building, but it's always exciting to hear the life stories of the people we're naming buildings after, and to hear about Marilyn Simon's father and his career in the brick industry, but then his passion for race walking and being one of the premier race walkers of the island. That was fascinating to hear. A really good man who beat all odds. It was, I think, pancreatic cancer. Was basically told, like most people who get pancreatic cancer, that you're going to die in a couple of months, and fooled them all and lasted 8 more years and was walking up until the end. So it was pretty fascinating and exciting to hear about his life. And so it was neat to name the building after him as well. Jay, good job. Continued good luck here. And thanks for the update. Okay, Sam alluded to it in his report. We're now going to have a presentation by Peter Bajan, the VP for Student Affairs, regarding some of the changes to the Title IX issues that we began discussing at the last meeting. Peter?
Yes, the whole area of sexual violence prevention and response has been something that the university is committed to. We've got a very extensive prevention and outreach program. And as Sam said, we've been doing climate surveys now for the last 5 years under the DOJ grant. The Department of Justice has been revisiting us to provide some accolades in the very near future. We were here last spring as well. I'd like to recognize that in this effort, the Susan Blunder Council, the Council's Office, Melissa Trachtenberg in the President's Office, Marjorie Leonard, who's the Director of Title IX and Risk Management, and Maddie Punnett, who's the Director of University Community Standards. This is a rapidly evolving area that's requiring this iterative changes in rules. As Sam indicated, we will be there'll be some changes in May. I've been here now last May, at the beginning of this semester and the end of the semester. And it's not that we're not getting things right, it's a matter that we're keeping up. The drivers here are SUNY, the federal government, and OCR. So what you've got in your packet updates that reflect on some important areas, and I'm sure my colleagues will be able to point out others, but one of the pivotal points is the area of affirmative consent. SUNY last week came out with a script on this, which is really the flaw. We're very much in compliance with that, but we'll probably add more to that. There's a Bill of Rights in the SUNY document that we're fully compliant with, and that will be distributed to the campus community. As we mentioned, climate surveys are an ongoing conversation. We've had one. SUNY is wanting to develop one. We've offered SUNY our climate survey so that they could take that as a model. You'll see a plethora of climate surveys being advertised from various and sundry organizations. And the AAU is pulling together one. To do all this, we're having to add positions, as I pointed out in the letter. There'll be in Marjorie's office a Title IX investigator. Then in Center for Prevention and Outreach, there'll be an advocate for the complainant, and there's also going to be an advocate for the respondent. These terms will change as the points move on. The panel process, we're going to have hire a part-time person to develop training and competencies in the hearing panel. A lot of this is, a lot of the effort of these individuals is not only going to be working with the individuals, but providing training. We've got requirements for training, and this is not an undergraduate student-centric issue. It's faculty, staff, undergraduates, graduates, professional students. So this is the campus writ large. We do have some significant efforts in substance abuse that are going on. You see in the press this conversation that becomes somewhat difficult at times, but we've really very much committed to working very hard, and we've done some significant changes over the last couple of years in putting effort and some real interest in making sure that we move on this. So the rules, as you can see from your packet, are really quite extensively modified, and we're looking for your approval. This is part of the responsibilities of the council to approve rule changes. And as Sam said, we'll have some further ones in May as the spring semester goes on. It's as recently as last Thursday, I was in Albany with all the vice presidents for students going through this material that came out on December 1st. And we would expect other items to be able to evolve in the spring.
So Peter, these changes, especially as they relate to the sexual harassment provisions you were just discussing, they cover most of the things the SUNY Board of Trustees just approved the other day, but to the extent there are some other like tweaking or cleanups that we need to do, we'll approve at future meetings.
Yep.
But and this will be effective for the fall?
This will be effective for the spring semester.
The spring semester.
SUNY is aiming for this material to be effective in the fall, so
we'll be ahead of
somewhat ahead of this.
Which is good. It's an issue that we should be ahead of others on. Anybody have any questions, or was there anything specifically you wanted to bring to our attention?
I think those were the big items. You'll see in the press, like you've seen this last week, this explosion of the UVA, the building still, but we can't. The president, the UVA's president, has really been very on target and saying, look, irregardless of that, we've still got a commitment to being serious in managing resource issues.
Any questions for Peter? So again, one of our duties is to approve changes to the student code of conduct. And either any of our student reps have any comments?
Well, I actually served with Marjorie and Marissa. At least the part that was, we did a pretty good job. They did a pretty good job. So, and other stuff.
So I'll take that in the form of a motion. Seconded by Father Alex. Any comments, questions, revisions, additions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, Peter. And I think that wraps up our formal agenda. Jay will be leading a tour for anybody who wants to see the amazing facility here. I had the pleasure of doing that during the ribbon cutting ceremony. Does anybody want to bring up any other business?
Yes, I have a question. Yes. Where do we stand with Southampton Hospital?
Where do we stand with
Southampton Hospital?
Let me ask you, the reason I'm saying that is because I'm sure you know very well that North Shore is interested.
Yes.
And also you have to understand that North Shore is affiliated with Mayo Clinic. So now the question is, where does Stony Brook stand?
So I'm going to ask Reuven Pasternak, who's our CEO, who's leading some of those negotiations, to talk about where we are with Southampton currently. If you could just give me an update.
And I can be brief but comprehensive in the response. Southampton and Stony Brook completed their discussions and agreements a number of weeks ago. The state, as part of its assessment of the plan, had asked that another consulting agency, KPMG, through the Division of Budget in the Governor's Office, conduct its audit of the process to ensure that the appropriate due diligence was done. They have done that. Their report has been favorable. It is currently under consideration by SUNY, and we are anticipating a vote at the SUNY board on January 12th to affirm that we can go forward.
That'd be great. Keep our fingers crossed for that too. Frank?
Also, Peconic Medical in Riverhead, there was in the news a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
Reuven? Reuven.
I'll include East Long Island, so I'll keep it to the second rise. So we are in active discussions with both Peconic and East Long Island in tandem. We will have formal proposals in front of them within the next 2 weeks. Those proposals involve two types of models. One type is what's called a sponsorship with an active parent model. The other type is similar to Southampton, where we acquire the operating license for those as well. In both cases, it is down to North Shore, LIJ, and Stony Brook to put those proposals forward. They anticipate making a decision between those two models within the next month, and then deciding which of the two to go forward with from there.
Do we have a preference as to which model we would prefer?
A sponsorship with active parent carries the least financial risk for the organization. The model where we acquire the license gives us more control over the situation.
Pros and cons.
We can work with both their pros and cons. So we are working more with putting the models in front of them, seeing which way. Our preference is to have one model for all three hospitals and maintain a consistent approach in that fashion. It involves different finances between the two, and that's part of the consideration that we have when both models are being put before those boards. And finally, a consideration is also going to be with which model is SUNY more comfortable in going ahead as well, since they are different approaches.
So to those great summaries of both those issues. I'll just add that, you know, we've been working very hard on this, so this is something we think is very important for our system. We really do believe it will result in better care, essentially on Long Island. That's really one of the most important parameters. I think it strengthens us as a healthcare enterprise, but I also think it will result in better care for the people of Long Island. So we're very much in favor of this, but it's been a lot of work and a tremendous amount of effort. You know, Ken Kishansky is not here today. Reuven devoting tremendous number of hours, Elaine, government relations. All of us have been working really hard to see this through. And I think ultimately, you know, again, as said, I think this is a deal that makes sense for both Southampton Hospital and Stony Brook University. And I hope that will the way the Board of Trustees will see it, because it really does make fiscal sense, but also I think, as I said before, it's going to benefit healthcare. So there's many reasons why the state should be supportive of us doing this.
Great. Reuben, thanks for being here, and Sam, thanks for always having your team here. It's good. And we only meet a couple of times a year, but if a question comes up, it's nice to have the answers. And I notice who's here all the time. I also notice who's not here. And but no, I thank you for being here and being part of Sam's team. It's always good to hear from you guys as well.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
You know, and just on that note, people said very nice things about me today, but of course, you know, these are the people who are, you know, implementing and leading implementation on a day-to-day basis. So that should always be done.
That's great. Got a great team, great students, great things happening. And I asked Sam also to, and if you don't want it, let them know, to include all of us on media distribution things. So when they send out things to
Campus,
the world,
campus communications.
you'll hear about it too. And again, it goes consistent with what our roles and obligations are to, know what's going on here at the university. And so many of the things you may not really pay too much attention to, and that's fine, but certainly the things that you might read about in the paper will be given a heads up on it before you hear about it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, all campus communications that come from me or come from the chief of police will be on the list.
All right, so with that, I want to wish you all a very happy holiday season. Our next meeting is February 9th, place to be determined, and the standby is always Sam's conference room, but when we find a neat place to hold the meetings to, again, introduce us to some other aspect of the university, we'll do that as well. So Susan will let us all know where we're meeting. She basically tells us what to do, and she does a very good job at doing it. So thank you, Susan, and again, happy holidays, folks. Meeting's adjourned.
Thank you.
Okay.